Have you ever wondered who amongst the Beatles would qualify as the best musician of all time? With the creativity put in by every member of the band to make the Beatles popular and influential, the best musician might be difficult to tell. With every member being skilled musically, everybody still really wants to know who the best musicians were amongst them. Could it be John, Paul, George the Quiet Beatle, or even Ringo? What if it was none of the top pointers of the band? Welcome to the Yellow Submarine, where we share the latest news and stories in the entertainment industry. Before we go on, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything. The Beatles came to be about 60 years ago. Different boys all turned into men coming together to give music another definition. Each member of the band had different things they were involved in before joining the Beatles. Even after the split up, they all left the band and still had activities to fall back to. However, one thing was for sure about their activities, it was musically inclined. A lot of people have concluded that every member of the Beatles is a musician. It takes only the best musician to scale through as a solo act after the band abruptly ended. The event that changed the course of music from a solo act to a band happened 60 years ago in Liverpool. Two of the Beatles' best acts came in contact with each other. John Lennon, who was 16 years at the time, was playing with a skiffle group, the Quarrymen, at a church garden party. On the other hand, Paul McCartney, 15 years as of then, was in the crowd, wearing a white sports jacket, listening to the performance and cheering along. During the performance, John did not know the lyrics of the song that he was performing and covered it up by adapting lyrics from the blues. Paul, who happened to know the lyrics, considered it a smart move and went to meet him backstage. The Beatles band was formed a few days after that meeting with a musician that was already performing on stage. Even though there was a bit of leadership strife at the initial stage, and they wouldn't take the name of the Beatles for another 3 years, that meeting between two boys kickstarted a creative partnership that produced nearly 200 songs valued at almost $1 billion. More musically inclined people got to join as time went on, and with an extra member joining the team, tremendous progress was recorded. A lot of us agree that the Beatles produce good sounds and also make great music, but some people don't believe the Beatles were good musicians. The famous Quincy Jones jokingly called them the worst musicians in the world. It felt like he was exaggerating then, but quite several people agreed with him. Why? They all felt that members of the band were not professional musicians. Comparing the Beatles to modern times, you can tell that their records are quite sloppy. The parts are interesting by the standards of 60s rock. Guess it's simply their style of music in those days. Each Beatle was skilled in one musical instrument or the other, even before the band was formed. Ringo was popularly known as a drummer. Paul was known for his skills as a pianist. John and George, guitarists, even their strong vocal prowess. Even though Paul McCartney was among the pioneers of the band, a lot of people just concluded that he had to be the best musician in the band. He had brilliant bass skills, was the best pianist in the band, and could also play great rhythm and lead guitar. He was also a very good composer then. McCartney's compositional skills were improving in every aspect of music and also went on to learn and to play other instruments. He was popularly known for rock music. McCartney was the main pianist in the group, but each member of the Beatles was a multi-instrumentalist. He was also interested in the guitar. He played the guitar just like Lennon. Although they all played the guitar, they had their specialties. John Lennon played rhythm guitar, Paul McCartney played bass guitar, and George Harrison played lead guitar. Sir James Paul McCartney had always had a thing for music right from when he grew up in Liverpool. He gained popularity by being a British vocalist, songwriter, musician, composer, bass player, poet, and painter whose work with the Beatles in the 1960s helped lift popular music from its origins in the entertainment business and transform it into a creative, highly commercial art form. As of 2020, Paul was one of the wealthiest musicians in the world, with an estimated fortune of £800 million. Out of all the members of the Beatles, Paul plays the most instruments. Unlike Ringo, who is just majorly known for his drums, even though he plays guitar occasionally, McCartney has mastered the craft of playing the bass guitar, and keyboards. His strong vocal prowess made it possible for people to recognize him as a talented musician. Paul has many awards of excellence in music to his name. His nomination list seems endless, showing how much his efforts were recognized. He won 8 Brit Awards, 18 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, 1 MTV Video Music Award, 1 MTV Europe Music Award, 1 Broadcast Film Critics Association Award, 1 Classical Brit Award, and 2 UK Q Awards. His songwriting skills and partnership with John Lennon produced some of the most popular music in rock and roll history when they were together as the Beatles. In May 2011, in Peru, he received the Grand Cross of the Order of the Sun for his environmental protection work and the Medal of Honor from the National Library of Peru. All these and many more awards and recognition serve as proof that he was indeed one of the best musicians the Beatles had. Paul was one of the most famous Beatles, and he had a way of always making sure that the team stayed together. When they were on the verge of splitting up during the Let It Be recording session, he did everything possible to keep them together. At some point, it was so obvious that the bond and friendship weren't there any longer, but he still believed that they could scale through. It was so admirable watching McCartney's will to keep the Beatles going. They all had their differences though, but you could tell that the one thing they had in common was their love for music and musical instruments specifically. Paul always used this as a binding factor for the Beatles. His enduring musical talent all accumulated and made him the best Beatle. Our rock star singer can look back at the documentary series with pride and see that he did his best to save a band that was falling apart when he easily could have just let it be. Also, every member of the band was a unique and talented musician, which helped in bringing the brand to the limelight. According to John Lennon, George Martin made them what they were in the studio. He helped the band develop a language they could use to talk to other musicians. Martin himself wrote in 1979 that without any instruments or scoring, very many of the records would not have sounded as they do. Whether they would have been any better, I cannot say. They might have been. That is not modesty on my part. It is an attempt to give a factual picture of the relationship. This doesn't diminish or reduce the achievement of the four Beatles, especially John and Paul. George was a versatile musician. He knows how to play a total number of 26 different instruments. Many of his fans think he plays the guitar and the sitar alone. He was also very skilled in the conga drum, the African drum, the xylophone, violin, harmonica, marimba, and glockenspiel. John Lennon is the co-founder of the Beatles band and also loved playing musical instruments a lot. His choices when it comes to instruments were diverse and resulted in his worldwide fame. Lennon's first love was the guitar. He played all the different types of guitar till he gained mastery of at least 3 of them. Even during his solo career, he mostly played the Gibson and Fender guitars. His other instrument of choice was the piano, on which he also composed many songs. For instance, Lennon's jamming on a piano together with Paul McCartney led to the creation of I Want to Hold Your Hand in 1963. Lennon's musicianship went beyond guitar and piano when he showed his proficiency on the harmonica in early Beatles records. His mother, Julia Lennon, first showed him how to play the banjo and encouraged him to learn and play the guitar. When they would practice together, sitting there with endless patience until I managed to work out all the chords. According to Lennon, his mom introduced him to rock and roll and was of great support to his musical career. Lennon also played keyboards besides the piano. He played the electric piano, Hammond organ, harmonium, mellotron, harpsichord, claveline, saxophone, harmonica, and 6-string bass guitar. Before Ringo joined the band, John, George, and McCartney were always seen playing the piano or guitar. The members of the Beatles, John Lennon, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr, sure put in a lot of effort to make the Beatles a household name. John Lennon is unquestionably McCartney's songwriting partner and a genius in his field. George Harrison, on the other hand, seems to have overtaken both of them in the cultural conversation about the band's best member. Ringo Starr remains the celebrity drummer and best Beatle personality. Each one of them is involved in music. They all had a role to play in making the Beatles famous, but even at that, there is always a best or even best of the best in every crew. Before we end today's video, who do you think is the best musician in the Beatles? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if you haven't by now, ensure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new updates from us on your favorite celebrities.